Welcome back to 100 Days and Beyond. I'm Dudley Peacock, and this is episode 19. Today, I want to talk about the retention problem that most service businesses quietly suffer from, and almost none of them name. It is not the usual problem of clients leaving in month 2 or month 3. Most businesses handle that well because it is so visible and so painful. It is the subtler problem. The client who signed with enthusiasm, got a great first project, renewed once, and then sometime in month 9 or month 12 started to drift. They come back a little less often. The quarterly call slips, the monthly invoice gets queried, and one day, 18 months in, they leave for somebody cheaper or go back in-house, and you did not see it coming. I call this the sophomore slump, after the theory in sports and music, where the second-year performance rarely matches the first. It is the single biggest source of unforeseen churn in mid-market services. And today I want to walk through why it happens and how to break it inside the first renewal cycle, which is the only place you can still save it. The sophomore slump happens because the first year of a client relationship is actively managed and the second year is passively managed. In year 1, everyone is paying attention. The sales team is celebrating the win. The delivery team is new to the account and trying to impress. The client is new to you and trying to justify their decision to the board. You have regular calls, quarterly reviews, case study conversations, and the account is visible in every team meeting. In year 2, the client is in the background. They are paying. The work is happening. Nobody is actively asking how they feel about it. The account manager is now focused on new client acquisition because year 2 revenue is considered secure. The client notices this slowly in ways they probably cannot articulate. They just feel less valued than they used to. At the same time, they are now a year into the relationship. They have learned how you work. The mystique is gone. Your best practice, which felt revolutionary in month 3, now feels like the default. They have forgotten what the before state looked like. And if a competitor calls them with a slightly different pitch, they are more likely to take the meeting than they would have been a year ago. The sophomore slump does not arrive suddenly. It signals for months before it lands. 3 signals you can watch for. Signal 1, the response time lengthens. Emails that used to get answered within a day now take 3. Meetings that used to get scheduled the same week now slip to the following month. The client is not yet leaving. They are just no longer prioritizing you. Signal 2, the composition of who attends your calls changes. Early in the relationship, the principal stakeholder was always on the call. By the middle of year 2, the principal sends a deputy. The deputy attends twice, then sends a junior. The relationship is being delegated downwards, which is the universal sign that the senior decision maker is mentally preparing to exit. Signal 3, the language shifts from partner to vendor. In year 1, they refer to you as their team. In year 2, they refer to you as their supplier. That change in language is usually unconscious, but it tells you everything. Partners negotiate through conversation. Suppliers are fungible. When you see all 3 signals, you have about 90 days to act before the client is mentally already gone. The only place you can break a sophomore slump is inside the first renewal cycle, which is typically months 10 through 14. After month 15, the client has usually made their internal decision and you are now working with the consequences. The play that works consistently is what I call the strategic reset. Around month 10, you initiate a structured conversation with the principal stakeholder, not the account manager, not the project manager, the actual buyer. You frame it as a strategic review, not a renewal discussion. In that conversation, you ask 3 questions. What outcome did you expect from this engagement when we started? What outcome have you actually got? And what do you want to get in the next 12 months that we are currently not doing? The 3 questions do real work. The first forces the client to remember the original pain, which they have almost certainly forgotten. The second forces them to acknowledge what you have delivered, which they have also mostly forgotten. And the third gives you permission to reshape the scope around whatever they say next, which is the only way to reset the energy in the relationship. What you do not do in that conversation is pitch. You do not pitch more services. You do not pitch renewal. You listen, you write, and you come back 2 weeks later with a proposal that speaks to what they said, not to what you were hoping to sell them. Done well, this conversation adds 10 to 30% to the account and extends the relationship by another 2 years. Done badly or not done at all, the slump continues unchecked. Most retention work focuses on preventing churn in month 2 or month 3, which is honorable but not very leveraged. A client who churns at month 3 was probably never a fit, and the lifetime value was always going to be low. A client who churns at month 18 is a client who could have stayed for 5 years. That lifetime value is 5 to 10 times what the month 3 client represented. So catching the sophomore slump in the 10 to 14 month window is arithmetically the single highest leverage retention work in a services business. The reason nobody talks about it is that it requires the account manager to have an uncomfortable conversation with the client about feelings and expectations. That is harder than a spreadsheet exercise. It takes a team culture that is willing to have difficult conversations before they become breaking conversations. And it takes a CEO who rewards account managers on 5-year retention, not on 3-month satisfaction. Get that right, and your agency or services business compounds differently from your competitors. Get it wrong, and you keep losing your best year 1 clients in year 2, and you never quite understand why. That's episode 19. Today was the sophomore slump, the retention problem nobody names, why it happens. Year 1 is actively managed. Year 2 is passively managed. The 3 early warning signals: response time, composition of attendees, and language shifting from partner to vendor. The strategic reset inside the 10 to 14 month renewal window, and why this is the highest leverage retention work you can do, because the client who stays past month 18 is worth 5 years of revenue, not 3 months. Tomorrow is the final episode of the Leverage Flow Week. We are looking at how to build a 60% staff to income agency when every rule of thumb says you cannot, the leverage maths of a modern services business. If this was useful, subscribe wherever you are listening. I'll see you tomorrow.